the Cruyff Turn. There's a certain kind of embarrassment you never recover from in football. The kind where a player doesn't just beat you, they send you into another postcode while still standing in the same spot. The Cruyff Turn is that kind of evil. It's not flashy, it's not even fast, but it's so smooth that by the time you realize what happened, you're probably already facing your own goal, wondering why your keeper is shouting at you. It started in the 1974 World Cup, when Johan Cruyff was cornered near the touchline by a Swedish defender. Most players would have just passed back, or maybe tried to cross, but Cruyff decided, no, I'll make this man question his career choices instead. He shaped up like he was about to whip in a cross, then casually dragged the ball behind his standing leg, spun around, and left the poor defender chasing a ghost. The whole move was over in about a second, but it's been haunting defenders ever since. What's wild is that the Cruyff Turn is one of those rare tricks that anyone can actually pull off, in theory. But in a match, that's when you find out the hard way that you're not Johan Cruyff. Because the thing about the Cruyff Turn is that it only works if you sell it. If the defender doesn't believe you're crossing or shooting, you're basically just doing a slow motion spin for no reason. And just when you think it's the ultimate 1-2 punch of humiliation and simplicity, football found a way to get even more disrespectful. The Elastico. If the Cruyff Turn is a clever lie, the Elastico is a full-on scam. This move is pure deception. The kind of skill where your body is saying one thing, but the ball is saying something completely different. You flick it one way, the defender bites, and then boom, it's going the other way before they even blink. The guy who made it famous was Ronaldinho, of course. If Cruyff was the cool mastermind who tricked you with one move, Ronaldinho was the guy who laughed in your face while nutmegging you twice. The Elastico was his signature weapon, and he used it to break ankles on a weekly basis. But the credit actually goes further back. Players like Rivellino were doing it decades earlier. Ronaldinho just took it, cranked the flair to maximum, and made it a nightmare for defenders in the 2000s. Pulling it off is harder than it looks. You basically have to flick the ball out with the outside of your boot, and then whip it back in with the inside in one lightning-fast motion. Mess it up, and you're either passing straight to the opposition or looking like you tripped over your own shoelaces. But when it works, it's magical. You don't even need space. You can be boxed in by two defenders and still find a way to escape. The beauty of the Elastico is how personal it feels. It's not like a long pass or a big goal where the whole stadium cheers together. This is you, the defender, and the pure disrespect of them lunging the wrong way while you're already gone. It's like sending them the wrong way on a penalty, but in open play and with twice the humiliation. Speaking of penalties, some players have figured out ways to turn even those into works of art, or just pure arrogance, depending on how you see it. The Panenka penalty. A penalty is supposed to be simple. Pick a corner, smash it in, and job done. But then, in the 1976 European Championship final, Czechoslovakia's Antonín Panenka looked at all that pressure, looked at the goalkeeper diving full stretch and thought, what if I just chip it down the middle? It's football's ultimate flex, because the Panenka isn't about power, it's about nerve. You're standing 12 yards from the goalpost, the whole world watching, and you decide to go for a shot so soft that if it doesn't work, you'll be ridiculed for the rest of your career. But when it works, oh, it's beautiful. The keeper dives one way, the ball floats into the middle, and you look like the most composed person alive. Plenty of players have tried it since, like Zidane in the World Cup final, Pirlo at Euro 2012, and Sergio Ramos in the Champions League. But for every perfect Panenka, there's a horror story. The kind where the keeper doesn't move, catches the ball like it's a slow pass, and you're left wishing you just blasted it to the top bin instead. And while the Panenka is all about timing and nerve, some players prefer something flashier, the Marseille Turn. Some skills just feel like they belong to certain players. For the Marseille Turn, it was Diego Armando Maradona. And honestly, it makes sense. This is a move that's part escape act and part insult, and nobody combined those two better than Maradona. In its purest form, it's two quick touches while spinning a full 360 degrees, dragging the ball away from danger like you've just Houdini'd your way out of a locked box. Maradona would pull it out when defenders swarmed him, using his low center of gravity and insane balance to protect the ball while buying himself space. The scary part is that he could do it anywhere, whether in his own half, in the middle of the pitch, or right before setting up a goal. Zidane later took it to another level in the 90s and 2000s, adding elegance and using it constantly in tight spaces. That's why a whole generation calls it the Zidane Roulette. But if Zidane's version was a ballet spin, Maradona's was a street fight pirouette. It was rougher, more direct, and somehow even more humiliating for the defender. It's not an easy move to pull off. You've got to time it perfectly so you don't just spin yourself into trouble, and your touches have to be clean enough that the ball stays glued to you the whole way. And for players who want that same feeling of control, but with a bit more elegance, the game gave us another spin, the smooth roulette. If the Marseille Turn is all about escaping trouble, the smooth roulette is about making the escape look so stylish that people forget you were in trouble in the first place. Think of it like the Zidane Roulette's cooler cousin who listens to jazz and only drinks expensive coffee. The move is essentially the same 360 spin, but with an extra level of flow. Instead of sharp touches, it's all in one sweeping motion. Players like Juan Román Riquelme and Paul Pogba have used it in a way that feels like they're just casually dancing with the ball while defenders try to catch up. It's the kind of skill that works best when the game slows down for you. The smooth roulette isn't as famous as other skills, maybe because it's more subtle. It doesn't scream for attention, but when it's done right, you notice it. The Ronaldo chop. Some players slow down before a dribble, but Ronaldo, the Cristiano version, just changes gears mid-sprint and cuts you in half with the chop. This move is pure efficiency, wrapped in a bit of flair. Picture this. You're bombing down the left wing with a fullback breathing down your neck and another defender coming in to close you down. Most players would pass or knock it forward, but instead, Ronaldo just leaps slightly, angles his body, and with one clean flick of the inside of his boot, the ball's gone diagonally across his body and into the perfect lane for him to keep running, while the defender's still trying to break, and their knees are having a crisis meeting. What makes the Ronaldo chop dangerous is that it works whether you're slowing down or at full speed. At top pace, it's devastating. You change direction before the defender can even think. When you're standing still, it turns into a quick burst of space to shoot or cross. It's one of those moves that looks simple until you try it in a game. Then you realize Ronaldo's doing it with a 90-degree cut at 30 kilometers an hour, while defenders are lunging in. You try it, and you end up toe-poking it straight to the keeper. The chop has been copied by wingers everywhere, but nobody made it a weapon like Ronaldo. And if the chop is all about angles and precision, the next one is pure theatre. The Rabona. The Rabona isn't just a pass or a shot, it's a statement. I could have done this the normal way, but I wanted to make it look better. It's where you swing your kicking leg behind your standing leg to strike the ball. Historically, it's been around for decades, but guys like Ricardo Quaresma, Angel Di Maria, and Eric Lamela have made it famous in modern football. Lamela even scored a Rabona goal in a North London derby. It's flashy, yes, but it's also practical in certain situations. Sometimes your weaker foot just isn't up to the task, and the Rabona lets you keep the ball on your strong foot while still hitting the right angle. Other times, you just want to humiliate a defender and maybe get a few extra million Instagram views. The risk is huge, though. Mess it up, and you're either hitting fresh air or shanking the ball straight into touch while the opposition laughs. And while the Rabona is all about deliberate showmanship, some players go for something more unpredictable, like the dribble maze. The dribble maze is a whole sequence of moves, strung together in a way that makes defenders feel like they're trapped in a nightmare they can't wake up from. Picture Messi ghosting past 4 players like they're cones, or Hazard skipping through an entire midfield before slotting it past the keeper. It's called a maze because there's no straight line. It consists of cuts, feints, body swerves, and little touches to unbalanced defenders. One wrong move, and you're chasing shadows. The magic is in the flow, because every touch is setting up the next, so there's no pause, and no chance for the defender to reset. Messi perfected it with those lightning-quick, close touches, staying glued to the ball while defenders tried to stab at it. Hazard did it with a bit more sauce, adding shoulder drops and sudden bursts of acceleration. Maradona, on the other hand, just bulldozed through with a mix of skill and sheer force of will. You can't really train the dribble maze in a robotic way. It's improvisation, reading the defender's weight, and constantly adapting. And if the dribble maze is about keeping the ball low and tight, the next move is the exact opposite. The rainbow flick. This one is pure audacity. The rainbow flick is when you roll the ball up the back of your leg and flick it over your head, and usually over the head of a very angry defender. It's been around forever in street football, but players like Neymar brought it to the big stage. Neymar doesn't just do it for fun, he'll throw it in mid-game, even if it risks the opposition coming for him harder next time. The trick is about timing. Take it too slow and the defender just bodies you. Take it too early and you're flicking it to no one. Get it perfect and you're through on goal, or at least leaving your man red-faced on TV. In professional football, it sometimes gets you a yellow card for unsporting behaviour, which is basically the referee admitting they also got embarrassed for the defender. And speaking of moves that bend the rules of what's normal in football, there's one last skill that's all about hitting the ball in a way that looks wrong, but feels so right. The Trivela revival. Most players train their whole lives to avoid hitting the ball with the outside of their foot. But then you see a Trivela and wonder why anyone ever stopped doing it. It's when you strike the ball with the outside of your boot, so it bends the wrong way. And for defenders, it's like the laws of physics just broke in front of them. Ricardo Quaresma made it his signature in the 2000s, bending impossible crosses and shots that nobody else would even try. Luka Modric kept it alive at the top of the game, turning outside foot passes into a trademark for Real Madrid. And now, Lamine Yamal is reviving it for a new generation. At just 16, he's already using the Trivela with ridiculous confidence, bending passes and shots in ways that make defenders look like they've read the play completely wrong. It's not just flair either, it's becoming a weapon, something teams actually have to prepare for. The Trivela isn't easy. One wrong angle and you're slicing it into the stands. But when it's hit right, it's pure theatre. Quaresma made it art, Modric made it efficient, and Yamal is making it cool again. And that's the thing with all these moves. They're not just tricks, they're little pieces of football history, moments that make you love the game more. Whether it's a Cruyff turn that leaves a defender spinning, a rainbow flick that makes the crowd roar, or a Yamal Trivela that bends reality, they all share one thing: They turn football into art. If there's a move you think is supposed to be on this list, drop it in the comments. And don't forget to like and hit subscribe so we can keep bringing you the good stuff.